Welcome to Encouraging Missions with your host, Phil Winfield.
Well, hello. Welcome to the first edition of Encouraging Missions with Phil. I am Phil Winfield, and I love the Lord Jesus. I love His church. I love our mission, and I love that special group of people called missionaries. And I'm sure you're thinking, well, why should I be listening to you? Well, that's a really good question. A little bit about myself. I and my wife, Bonnie Winfield, have been in the ministry for some 46 years. We started in 1979. We helped plant a few churches here in the States, and we helped plant even more churches in Peru and South America. Last December the 31st, that is, of 2024, I transitioned away from the church where I had served as either an assistant, an associate, a sent missionary, or senior pastor for 40 years. It was such a wonderful and fruitful experience, but to tell you the truth, my missionary heart, the heart of a missionary evangelist, has kind of come to life again and taken over, and I am really interested still in making disciples of Jesus Christ and helping others do it, inspiring other people to do it. Right now, I'm Director of Missionary Support at Global Faith Missions of Hickson, Tennessee. I have a personal mission of doing this. I want to be a global mission support partner that helps inspire churches and encourage missionaries as we all collaborate to keep carrying the gospel to the ends of the earth, across the street, and across the seas. And I'm excited, I'm thrilled to be doing this again, to be able to visit churches and just preach and encourage and talk about, give ideas, and then also to just be in a constant contact with missionaries. And I'm doing it a lot through Zoom and other ways, but it's just so exciting to be doing that. And you might wonder, well, just who are you and what's your foundational theological position? I don't want to start listening to somebody that I might not agree with. Well, I don't blame you. I can tell you that I'm a biblicist. I believe the Bible from cover to cover, and I take all of its commands and its commissions very seriously. And I believe that every believer is called to be a witness, and I believe that some special believers, some individuals are called to do it in a specific way and to do it cross-culturally, and we call them missionaries. So I want to talk today, just for a few minutes, this first episode, I want to talk about that very word, the word missionary. Why? Missionaries. Isn't that sort of an old, worn-out term? Isn't the idea of going from here to there just a little bit colonial, and is it condescending to the people of other cultures? And by the way, can't we just send money and support national pastors? And isn't that a much more cost-effective way to do it, knowing that most nationals can live far more inexpensively than Americans can on foreign soil? Well, there's no doubt that that is true. And oh, by the way, can't we use technology? I hear this one all the time. It isn't technology to the place where we can, we can do live stream and we can Zoom and we can even use the radio waves to get into those hard to reach places. Well, absolutely, that is true, and we should be doing those kind of things. Yet, I do want to say we need to think carefully before we stop sending our own. And so send I you is still in the Bible, and go ye therefore and teach all nations, of course, is still in the Bible. And there's some advantages to actually going ourselves or sending our own people. And that's kind of the subject I want to talk about. Why missionaries? Why in 2021, 21st century? Why is it still necessary? Well, the first thing I want to say is there's 8.2 billion reasons to be doing it. You guessed it. There's about 8.2 billion people that inhabit our planet. And so the current estimate is that 50% of them have never even heard the name of Jesus. A greater percentage, according to missiologists, have never had a Bible of their own. So the need in the world is tremendous. It's great. They need to hear the Word of God. You say, well, that still doesn't answer the question of why we need to go. Why can't we just send money or send others? Well, I want to talk about that in this session. The unintended consequence of just sending money or just using technology is something I don't even think that we even think about very much. And that's this. If we don't know the people that we are sending, if they're not our sons and daughters, our friends, fellow church members, members of partner churches, if they're not people that we know, then somehow we begin to lose interest. And I've seen this churches that start just doing it by sending money or doing it in other ways, and they don't have individual missionaries that they know and support. It doesn't take very long before the whole idea of missions begins to wane in the church. So missions outreach in those kind of churches just becomes a budget item, and then from time to time they get an email from somebody that they don't know. The email gets copied and it gets taken and put at the mission center, and very few people ever read that. But the biggest impact is that students and young adults and young couples and others never ever really see a live missionary. I can't tell you the difference in actually seeing a live missionary, hearing their stories and hearing their burdens compared to just sending a check. There's no comparison. And when our young people and our young adults and our young marrieds and even seniors that are looking to do something with their disposable income and spend some of they're still healthy, they've retired, they want to do something. Boy, meeting missionaries and hearing about what God is doing and opportunities that are there, it just makes a big, big difference. And many, many more end up at least visiting a field and getting more engaged. I got a book right here that I have read recently. It's called From Jerusalem to Irian Jaya, written by Ruth Tucker, and it's a biographical history of Christian missions throughout the 20th century mainly. I don't know if it gets into the 21st, I don't remember. But it's a book, and I've read that book. You say, well, see, can't people just read books? Well, the truth is, I read that book because I'm a missionary, not because I was just interested to find out about missionaries. Most people that don't know missions, never met a missionary, ever pick up a book or read an article or look it up on the internet. They don't do that. When we meet missionaries, when we come by our churches, when we are regularly meeting them, hearing from them, and finding out what's going on with them, that's when our hearts are touched. We meet them, and it happens. So I've been around missionaries almost all my life. When I ask how they got interested in missions, almost without fail, they say, well, I met a missionary from, the rest is history. They met a missionary, they became burdened about missions, they prayed about missions, they sensed a call to missions, they went and visited a mission field. And so you might be afraid and saying, well, if you follow your line of thinking, maybe it's better we don't have any missionaries come by because my kids may end up being missionaries. Well, don't be afraid of that. The most wonderful thing that can ever happen to anyone is to follow God's call and follow His will. And I know that in my own life, my own children, their most enriching experiences was being raised on a mission field. Well, I have to tell you, when it's like that and when missionaries are coming by and you're getting to know them and God is using missionaries to inspire more missionaries, energy surges in churches like that. Evangelism becomes local and global. And prayer becomes far more important because they know specific missionaries with specific needs, specific requests. They know how to pray for Juan or for Lucia or somebody in some country that they don't know about them until the missionary tells them what's going on in their life and how to pray for their salvation. And it changes your prayer life. Missionaries add to local evangelism as well. They bring an enthusiasm. They tell their stories and how God is working, and it always raises an evangelism awareness even locally in our churches. Perhaps a personal story might help you think about this, and I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to share this story. It happens to be personal, but it is so very true, and it kind of illustrates what I'm trying to say. A few years back, I was leading a group of our own people from our church on a mission to the place where I had served for so many years in Peru. And we were in a place called Chincay Alto in the Huaylas Valley of Peru. That's north central Peru. It's a beautiful area, white mountains everywhere, and poverty-stricken people. They're subsistence farmers. Most of them raise sheep, goats, some real rudimentary crops that they grow there, and just subsistence farmers. But we were up there. We had an appointment to go to a school for a meeting in the afternoon. Well, wires got crossed. The person that was supposed to open up the school never came. So there we were with a group of 15 or 16 people. We had Bibles, we had some toys, we had some things to give the children, we had other blessings that we wanted to share with the people. And getting dark. The guy never came. So what we decided to do was as we looked around on those hills and we saw the sheep and the goats, we decided we'd divide up groups of 2s and 3s. We'd take our Bibles that we had, New Testaments recently translated into Quechua from the Spanish language, but translated into Quechua, and had recently been done by the Wycliffe Bible translators. And so we had them, and we were determined to go and pass them out. So as we were finishing that, and we'd been all over that little area, as we were finishing, my wife and I and one other person with us, I looked up on the knoll. There was just one more shack. It was the home of these people, but it looked like a shack to us, of course. But I told my wife, just wait here. I'm going to run up there with this last Bible. And I'm going to call him Enrique. Well, he was the guy, that very person was the guy that I came up to the place where he lived. The little girl ran out, and I said to her, I said, go and find your mother, your father. I said, I'd like to give something to them. And so, so her father came out, and I'm calling him Enrique. He came out, and he had in his hand a copy of the New Testament that we were passing out. And it was, he had markers all in it and all kinds of things. And he came up to me and he showed it to me and he said, I already have one. And where have you been? He said. I said, what? Pardon me? He said, where in the world have you been? I was down in Huaraz. They had these on the street. Huaraz is the main city of that little area. They were selling these on the street. I bought one of these and I've been trying to figure out what it's talking about. I need somebody to help me understand this. So where have you been? Or why have you not sent somebody to help me understand? Wow, the weight of that was so heavy on me that day. That's one of the reasons why missionaries. Because the call to missions is also a call on the other end for somebody to listen. Enrique wanted to know what this book was about and who it was about and what he was supposed to do about it. Wow, there's tens of thousands, yea, millions of Enriques out there. They would listen if somebody was there to tell them. It's so exciting to know that God has his people. He has his hearers on the other end. And it was a wonderful day that I was able to talk to Enrique about the gospel and to give him another copy of the Bible. I gave him another one so his wife would have one as well. Well, that's just one of the stories, and that just kind of illustrates why missionaries? Well, because there's so many in so many places that have yet to hear the gospel in a clear fashion. The need is great. The commandments are clear. The blessings are many. And there is this thing that I just mentioned. We are called to go because there are people that are also called to listen. Well, I'm going to be talking about a lot of things having to do with both how churches send missionaries and what are the good habits and how do you develop a culture of missions. I'm going to talk about a lot of those things. I'm going to talk about good habits for missionaries themselves. And in fact, I've got a little list of things here that I've already started my list of things I'm going to be talking about. Well, the next one I'm going to say is, isn't every believer a missionary? If every believer is a missionary, why do certain people need to get paid to be missionaries? Prayer. We're going to talk about the key element of prayer in missions. Missions as a we thing and not just the thing that some rare group over here that are motivated to missions do. The pastor's role in missions. And what is Acts 1:8 really all about? Collaborative missions. Is language study necessary? Cultural adaptations. I'm going to talk about initial vision and revised vision for a missionary and all the nuances of developing a vision for the mission field. I'm going to talk about how to avoid a spirit of competition, how to work with the nationals. I'm going to talk about how that there's no such thing as a missionary prototype. There's no certain one way to be or one way to act, or there's no mold for missionaries. God uses all kinds of people. I'm going to talk about effective church mission trips. You say, well, aren't they all effective? Well, I wish they were, but they're not. But I've got some real good thoughts to share on that, how we can make sure they're very effective and a blessing both to the missionary and to those taking the trips. And then short-term missions. You say, well, isn't that the same thing as church-based missions? Well, no. Short-term is like 3 months to 3 years, and there's some tremendous, tremendous blessings that we can talk about there. But I'm not just going to do monologues all the time. I'm going to be looking for opportunities, and I'm working with somewhat over 130 missionaries. and personally, and I'm going to be interviewing some of them and let them tell about their ups and downs and some of their good practices that they have on the field and ways that they found to communicate back and forth that are very, very effective for keeping up a good relationship with those who have sent them to the mission field. So we're going to do that. And then one other thing I'm going to do is that I'm privileged to be able to travel to mission fields and to work with missionaries. My wife and I, we were in Panama last year, going to be there again this year, going to be there twice, in fact, going to be in Peru, going to be in Brazil, perhaps in a couple of other countries in this year, 2026. So we're looking forward to that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, right from the mission field, I'm just going to take my cell phone with me, and I'll try to do the best I can to record some of these podcasts, and from there, and just include the missionaries and let you see exactly what is going on. So I'm excited about this. I'm very, very thrilled about my new opportunity. I feel like I've got a new lease on ministry. I'm 68. I'm healthy. I'm looking forward to just, I don't want to rust out for the Lord. I want to burn out for the Lord. And I'm looking forward to doing everything I can. But I look forward to meeting with you. And so what I'd like you to do is, if you would, just push that subscribe button, and you'll be able to, the next episode will come up whenever it's ready, so that you will be able to know when we're talking about it. And not everybody's going to be interested in checking out these podcasts, because I'm talking about missions, talking about missionaries, I'm talking about churches who send missionaries, and I'm just talking about reaching people with the gospel. From time to time, I might share something from the scriptures that is highly motivational, highly encouraging about missions itself. Well, I just want to say to you, thank you for listening to this first podcast, Encouraging Missions with Phil, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. But until then, goodbye, and thank you for listening today.
Thanks for joining us. Tune in next time for more encouraging missions with your host, Phil Winfield.